Relax, the keyboard is off and the press box is closed, but the mic is just getting warmed up. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Ink, the show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. Join your host, Lance Green, the guardian of the blue paint turned writer, and co-host SteelFlyers, as we bring you all the latest on the Philadelphia Flyers. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hockey Writers Ink, a Philadelphia Flyers-centric podcast with your host, Lance Green.
Thank you, Steel. How are you doing?
Oh, man, I'm doing fantabulous. How are you, Lance?
I'm doing pretty darn good, and it seems the Flyers are as well, as they continue to give their fan base early Christmas presents by beating the Devils recently. So kudos to them and the way they just have kept up this play.
I mean, it's been, we talked about it in the show last week that they're kind of overachieving, but I also think it has a lot to do with some of the teams that were playing really well last year underachieving, a la the New Jersey Devils, a la the Pittsburgh Penguins, a la the Tampa Bay, Lightning.
Lightning,
So,
yeah.
I mean, there is some give and take in this, and this isn't back and forth, but all in all, you can't be disappointed at all with what's going on in Philadelphia here with these Philadelphia Flyers, can you?
No, for sure. I don't think, honestly, anybody can say that they thought at this point in the season that they would, you know, be where they are in the standings, second in the Metro, and all that. So, yeah, just exciting team to watch. Finally, a team that Flyer fans can tune in and sit through a whole game without getting mad and turning it off halfway through the game.
Or throwing things or breaking things.
Yeah, cursing and yeah. So all that good stuff. But
Right.
yeah,
So speaking of throwing things and breaking things, how about we do this? How about we step off with episode 150?
sounds good.
Wow, episode number 150. Believe it or not, your Philadelphia Flyers are in the hunt. And Lance, you said it at the beginning of the show that the Flyers are now in sole possession of second place in the Metro with 39 points. What? 39 points? Oh my goodness gracious. Did I just say that? Second place in the Metro. Okay. It is fleeting because the teams behind are very much nipping at the heels. 37, 36, 35 points are the teams behind the Flyers. And let's face it, if the Flyers go on a bender and drop 2 or 3 games, suddenly now they're on the outside looking in.
Yeah,
Because just at that point in time, all those other teams that are behind the Flyers will be winning.
well,
So.
very close race right now. Currently, not only are they second in the Metro, but they're third in the entire Eastern Conference. But teams like the Maple Leafs, the Panthers, the Islanders, and of course the Hurricanes are right on our heels, like you said. So if we go on a 2 or 3 game stretch of losing, then it could look drastically different, and that's something that the team has to be aware of and make a decision on, like we said last week. As far as are they overachieving right now, and or should they, be potential buyers, and that is caused some their success has caused some speculation to possibly be buyers for possibly the Blue Jackets players as well. With them being dead last in the Metro, they're already saying that they're pretty much anybody on the team is a go at
Wait,
this point.
wait. I don't
If
want
the
anybody from
team
that
wants
team
to pay up
thanks.
for them, so.
Uh, okay, but I don't want anybody from that team thanks, unless you want to give me some draft picks.
There's a couple players I would want. I think they like the Flyers. um, have just from years ago just are okay with losing at this point, and they need to get out of that situation, and get to a team where that losing culture is not going to be accepted under a John Tortorella offense. So
No, no,
I
I
mean,
hear you.
there's definitely some players on there that you know I would
Not
take a second look at.
not who
Yeah,
everybody
but
thinks.
what'd
Not
you
who
say?
not who everybody thinks. I don't want Johnny Gaudreau.
That's a big contract to take on. I don't know if they could even do
Can't.
that, but
I don't want that. I do not want that mess. I please don't make that happen. If you couldn't
mm,
make it happen the first time he was coming round, I that would take away from this team. I think you need to continue. I think you need to continue to build the way you're building and do things that are going to help this team now and in the future. Like Danny Briere, like Keith Jones have been saying, they're not going to do any deals that's going to be a here and now. They're trying to do deals for tomorrow, quote unquote. Okay, so I mean, like I said, I don't want the fancy icing. Okay, I want some cake. We need some cake. This team needs some cake. Okay, they need some of those good core players that they can grow from within to be the superstars that we know they can be. And I think they've already kind of started. We all believe that Mitchkov could potentially be that. We have seen what Cutter has blossomed into. I mean, the fact that him and another draft pick that we're going to talk about later in the show, are impressing with going to their prospective World Junior teams. I mean, for championships, there's a lot of good things going on here in the Flyers organization, and I don't want to see them just throw it away for some window dressing. Does that make sense?
yeah, no, I agree. I don't think they're at a point where adding somebody like a Johnny Goudreau and giving away what the nucleus of what this team has been built on, to be able to do so, it would be worth it. Now, if they went out and maybe got a Kirill Menchenko, who's younger, a Kent Johnson, a Jack Rasavolovic, Cole Sillinger, guys that are still on their rookie
Yeah,
deals or just in off of their rookie deals that are young enough, under 25, that could potentially be a piece for the future where you wouldn't have to give away the
yeah,
whole farm,
yeah. No, I get what
then
you're saying.
maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But again, I don't even know if they're in a position where they should be potentially adding. I think that decision's got to be made a little bit later, in this season, because I don't think management is really sold on the fact that this team could be potential cup favorites. From where they were last season, that seems kind of a pipe dream at this point still, even though they're doing really well. But you know, are they anything more than a one and done in the playoffs? That's yet to be determined. They still would have to face some nasty teams like the Rangers and the Bruins, who are just leaps and bounds still better than where the Flyers are currently. Like you said, maybe when some of those younger guys that you mentioned come in the next year or so, will be better suited to
Yeah.
be buyers. But I don't know if I would be right now.
I'm
So
not necessarily talking about buyers. I'm just talking about not making any deals for the team that is going to be like, kind of like what Holmgren did, kind of like what Clarkey did, kind of like even what Fletcher tried to do, where they tried to bring guys. Hey, we'll just get that one guy to bring us over the hump.
yeah.
Yeah. No, stop doing that. And that's why I immediately shut down the whole Johnny Gaudreau thing because I don't want anything from Columbus. Thanks. Okay, I just don't. I'm at that point where I would much rather get some draft capital from somebody where we can, you know, if that's what we can get from Columbus, okay, whatever. I'm not trying to give up anybody though. You know what I'm saying? Unless they're going to be on the hook for like say a Ristolainen. You know, if they'll take the Ristolainen thing, then okay, laddie, what you got for me? You know, that's
Yeah, I
you
don't think
know
they're going to be buyers at that point. We
right,
already sold off one not so good defenseman to him
right,
uh,
right.
before the season started. I think a team like Toronto would be hot and heavy still over Ristolainen at this point. So
I'm
a
with
team
you.
that's in the hunt as well.
No, no,
So
no, I'm with you. And that's why I'm kind of like, I don't really want anything from Columbus. But I'm with you.
yeah.
Okay. One of the things I do want to talk about, first of all, though, is since we've kind of. Let's stay on the goalie role, shall we? We
Mm.
just got to recently talk to a very special guest here on the Prospect Watch show here on the SteelFlyers All Sports Network. And man, I'll tell you what, Lance, that kid is just. He, I see him being one of the first one, two, or three goalies taken off the board this coming draft. That's where I see him going.
Yeah, he definitely should be. Jackson Parsons for the Kitchener Rangers of the OHL is who we spoke to, and I think he definitely would be one of the top goaltenders to be taken this upcoming draft, and rightfully so. The kid is solid as solid can be. I don't see any holes in his game, and that's coming from a goaltender who's played over 30 years. Um, so yeah, definitely exciting and a great interview. If you guys get the chance, check that out in the coming days for sure.
Yeah, we'll try to have that out here for sure. So that's I leaked that out. Whoops. Sorry, I guess that was supposed to be a premiere, but yeah, that's going to be popping off here before the Christmas rush. So be looking for that coming out here on the Steel Flyers All Sports Network. An interview with Jackson Parsons from the Kirchner Rangers on the Prospect Watch show. So be checking that out for sure. But staying on the goalies, I know that Carter Hart's been having this quote unquote illness, whatever it is that he's dealing with. I have no idea whatever it is. It's sounding something like it's chronic or something that he's not able to get a handle on or whatever.
Okay.
Never. It's hard for me to fathom what it could possibly potentially be. But what I've been really impressed with is Ersson's game. The fact that this young goalie came out and just shut down Detroit. Not many goalies are shutting down Detroit. That's I'm just gonna say that. Okay.
Yeah, Detroit's got some great young pieces there that are up and coming, and they're going to be a good team. Yzerman is going to make sure that team is going to be there for a long time. It's just going to take another year or two for sure. But yeah, he did the same thing against the Devils last night. This guy is not new to professional hockey. All right, he had played previously in the SHL for numerous seasons before coming over to the AHL and NHL, and his experience shows. Man, I really like his play style and mostly his ability to shut down the breakaways. All right. He's not. He shows he's not scared. He comes out of that crease. He challenges that shooter,
Love it.
and he shuts them down. He is
Yeah.
not afraid, and that carries over into overtime play and shootout play, which I think he has a one up on Carter Hart. Carter Hart is not very good in the shootout scenarios, and as we all know, in this day and age in the NHL, that is a way that you know could define you making the playoffs and not making the playoffs. Gaining that extra points after overtime it is crucial. And, Big Sam in net lets the Flyers gain that next point, that other point.
Yep.
And with the Flyers not having, that elite level star player out there, like some other teams have, that's going to go out there and score you that goal in that instance all the time. It's great to know that we have a goaltender that can not only back up Carter Hart, but is vying for his starting job at this point with his play and doing things that he is not. Hart is essentially not as good at. So
You mean like
you know,
shutouts?
like shutouts, he has two to Carter's one in a lot less games, and almost as many wins. So you know, Sam is the man right now, and
When
you know it's nice to see. It's nice to see
yes,
we have two goaltenders that are capable. Where for the past 20, 25 years since Hextall retired, it's not been the case. So
we have to barely have one.
yeah,
To now to have a tandem now where if and when Carter Hart gets to be healthy, and until then we're I have got no problems with Sam Ersson at all. It's kind of like Carter Hart who. So, but I wanted to say something about that because I'm very impressed with him, and you and I both felt that he was the goalie, really, that we felt it was probably going to be the number two backup goalie. But there's been some injuries and stuff like that back and forth a little bit here with the team, and I understand Tortorella wanted to give some other folks a chance, and I understand, but you didn't pay Ersson to be playing down in the for the Phantoms. Okay,
no,
you
no,
paid him to
definitely
be
not.
playing up here with the Flyers, and boy, is that a savvy contract for this young player or what? I mean, Danny Briere. I mean, that's another checkbox that you can check from Danny Briere. I have been very much impressed with what he's done with this team. I'm very much impressed with the direction of this team, and how they've been able to manage the cap, how they've been able to bring players in, and what they potentially have in the works for the future with the draft capital that they already currently have. So, with
Yeah.
that being said, I want to talk about your latest, Lance. And I think this ties in a lot with that because your latest article that folks, I'm here to tell you, you need to go to SteelFlyers.com and check out Lance's latest article about whether or not it'll cost the Flyers to sign a certain free agent here. And this article is fresh. It's dripping fresh off the presses. It's still dripping wet. And it's an amazing article, as always, from Lance, the editor in chief, the guardian of the blue painter and writer extraordinaire. And what you talked about is Owen Tippet in this
Yeah.
article. So this is, look, we talked about them being buyers and sellers potentially last show, but this is something that I think goes beyond a buying and selling. Do you know what I mean? I think this goes beyond that. I think this is one of those things where you have to look exactly at what this player could potentially bring to the team. So why don't you tell the folks out there, what was the reasoning why you felt this was the perfect time to put this article out now about Owen Tippett?
Well, Owen Tippett, of course, was traded and by the Florida Panthers in the exchange that sent them Claude Giroux. And where most people might have thought he was just a throw-in prospect, I was very high on this guy for
And
his work
we both
that
were
he did.
before. Before he even
Yeah.
got traded to the Flyers, we were high
Before
on
he even
him.
got before he even got drafted, I was high on him.
Right.
I liked him in Minnesota with the Steelheads and the with the Spirit as well. But this guy is now 24 years old. He was a 2017 first round pick, top 10 pick. Um, he was drafted to be that offensive presence for Panthers, but they thought he might be able to do it right away, but their their roster just wasn't gonna have that. They had a lot of veteran players. They were built to win now, and he just didn't get a shot there.
Yeah.
But now 2 years removed from that trade, he's flourishing like I thought he would if given the chance. And
Yeah.
Philadelphia has given him the chance and seen what I and some other guys out there have seen, and with his exceptional play this year, especially netting the overtime goal against the Devils, it 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 becomes a question. What will it cost to re-sign this potential star in the making? Um, you know, he scored 27 goals last year for the Flyers, and that's amazing in itself. But he's on pace again this year to do very similar numbers, and his contract is up at the end of the season. He's going to be a restricted free agent, and the Flyers kind of have to decide what they want to do here. He has to date only posted those kind of numbers for a full season, but he's kind of looking like he's going to do it again. So they have to ask themselves: do they want to kind of take a short a short approach and make sure that he's going to continue to be this kind of player that's able to produce at this rate or potentially better as he gets more comfortable and learns the game that much more. And offer him maybe a 3-year deal like a Magnapane for Calgary, or do they want to go out and kind of sign him to a long-term deal, like the Canadians did with Cole Caulfield recently.
Yeah.
Now,
Like a bridge
it,
deal.
like a bridge deal for like Calgary did, or a
Yeah.
long-term deal where you're going to wrap this player up for a number now that's going to seem like a bargain in 3 or 4 years when he's consistently potting 30 goals a year. Um, so there's a lot of numbers in my article that dive deep into different situations that I think both how I viewed it as and set it up as how I think that Owen's agents are going to come in with the numbers that they probably will, with the contracts of some youthful players in the NHL that have signed recently, and then what I think the Flyers are going to counter uh, offer or kind of put on the table, and really to show like, hey, this is where I think we'd be more comfortable at. And in the end, I really think that it's going to be somewhere in between those two numbers. Obviously, there's give and take when contract negotiations are going on, but I really lay it all out as I always do, fill it with a lot of stats and information in there to kind of have you
Yeah.
digest that.
Yeah,
You
but
know.
Lance, you know what though, Lance, you nailed it on the head because you approached this a little differently. You gave it the perspective of what the agent would, or the player and the agent, what they're going to be looking
Mhm.
comparatively in the league to say, hey, my player's this age and this blah 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 blah. But like you, I also believe that what the Flyers should do is look at it the way you suggest that they look at it and go, well, okay, yeah, he is this young player, but comparably, he's more this player.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? So,
And they are in a good position to argue that point because they had
yeah.
two players on the roster signed to pretty darn good deals right now in Joel Farabee, who signed a 6-year, $30 million deal, paying him $5 million a season at the age of 22. And then Travis Konechny, who signed a 6-year, $33 million deal that at age 22 that pays him $5.5 million.
And
So,
let's not forget about Travis Sanheim, neither.
right. Well, Sanheim's a
I get it, but
Sanheim's a defenseman, so that's a little bit different. But we're talking apples to apples and wingers to wingers at this point.
I get it, but
So
you're in that same age range and you're in
yeah,
that same kind of mentality where you're trying to lock up this player now at a price now that, by the time he gets to be, later 20s, it's a bargain, it's a basement price that you're paying for these guys. So I mean, I get it. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's all I wanted to say as far as that was concerned. But I that's why I really like this article, how you broke it down like that. You know what I mean? How you approached it like that, and the numbers that you always are known for are significant because it gives you that approach. It gives you that comparison of this is where the numbers are, and this is how much that these numbers are worth, and then compared to say how old he is and how many games he's played and that kind of thing. So
yeah,
thank you.
all the intangibles are in there for sure. But it is scary, Steel. It is scary because there are a lot of teams that are paying some of their young players um, for what they potentially could reach in
Yeah,
that sense,
yeah.
or could be, like you said. And that's kind of scary in the terms of what the Flyers are going to have to kind of fend off. And some of these young players earning $7, $8 million a year now, um, and the Flyers may not want to pay that. It may not have the money in itself to do that.
Yeah, I
So
don't think they're
if
gonna
they
do
want to,
that.
obviously, he's a restricted free agent in the long end, and it could go to arbitration and all that. But
Yeah.
that never really plays out well for the relationship between the player and the team itself. You want to kind of get a deal done on your own and not be told what you got to pay him. Um, so we'll have to see where it leads, but this guy is gonna be one of the guys the Flyers depend on for years to come. I think he is the real deal. He isn't afraid to shoot the puck. He
Yep.
is going to throw it at the net whenever he gets the chance, and you know they've been going in for him for sure. So I do see him as a potential 30 goal scorer every year. He is that electric out on the ice. He does play with a heads up um, situational play at all times where he's able to pick off the defense trying to clear the zone just like he did against the Devils and be on his merry way rushing in on the goaltender by himself. So just an electric player that the Flyers were able to get in this trade for Giroux, and he was just a piece. They're also going to have a first round pick this summer, gifted to them by the Florida Panthers. So not only do they have Tippett, but they're going to have future assets as well. And things are looking up for both Tippett and the team at this point. So we're going to have to see where the season plays out and what numbers we're actually going to talk about. Potentially signing him to at season's end.
I'm with you on that. Either way you slice it, I think he has to be part of this team moving forward. I like him on the second line there with Brink and Frost, right?
Yeah,
I like that. He has been that line has finally started to give us something.
yeah,
Okay, and And to be honest with you, and I'm going to go back to this, and I know I'm probably, people are going to hate me, but Frost has played better, but I really think with his lower percentage in the face-off dot has hindered that line.
Mm.
Do you know what I mean? So that's just all. It's just something that because I look at the X's and O's and I look at the numbers and the analytics and stuff like that. But
Well, yeah,
all
he's definitely paying off playing with Tippett and Brink there, two guys on either side of him that are just going to find the puck and find a way to put it out on the net. So both those guys love to be
agreed.
in and around the net,
Yeah, no,
and
agreed.
are great to make Morgan Frost look better than he is. But it's to Scott Lawton's own demise that Morgan Frost is even getting a chance to be on that second line at this point because Scotty just hasn't been playing like his old self, and
I and
uh, you know, other two other centermen, Ryan also had 2 goals, last night against the Devils, have jumped him as far as the depth chart. So, Scotty's got to get his stuff together here, and I don't know if he's, injured on the down low or whatever that's
something. Yeah,
hindering his play, but just not really living up to, you know, his normal standards for sure.
yeah. I'm afraid about that one, so I didn't really want to approach that one just yet. I was just kind of hoping that it was more of giving some of the younger guys a chance. Do you know what I mean? At just this point in time, do you know what I mean? And being able to have a Scotty Lawton type player where you can just pretty much plug and play him anywhere, and it's not going to really matter. You know what I mean? He's not going to be he's not going to cost the team or anything else like that. So,
But two
but
goals isn't cutting it.
no, I'm with you. No, I'm with you. And that's kind of the other thing too, where the secondary, third dairy, fourth dairy scoring on the team has been very much lacking all the way around, and so there's other things on this team that are lacking. I don't want to get into right now. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Keep it on a high note. They're winning right now, and but I agree.
So
If they
yeah,
continue on this crouch towards potentially making the playoffs,
relevance
relevant,
on the
they
train to
they may
relevance. Toot
they may
toot.
need to add something, some small pieces on the third or fourth line because these guys just aren't cutting it offensively. I like Hathaway. I like you know Noah Cates and
And Poling
Scotty
has really
Lawton, but
been and Poling's really been jumping up. He was promoted. You know what I mean? So,
yeah,
but I'm with
yeah.
you. I'm with you. So here's the thing, though, and I want to kind of broach this, kind of as far as the last 4 games because that I think we're gonna try to do that now with every little show here. We're talking about the last 4 games, and there was that heartbreaking overtime loss to Nashville where I really felt the team played really well in that game. I felt that was a tough loss to lose in overtime like that. You know what I mean? And here's gonna be the theme running for all the last 4 games because they're all overtimes, except for the Detroit game. Okay, so we get the overtime win against the Capitals 4-3. That was I'll take that all day long. That's that's a team you mark on the calendar you want to beat every single time you face them, right? And then Ersson comes in and does the shutout 1-0 against the Detroit.
Mhm.
And man, that was an impressive game, even though it was 1-0. And Lance, we talked about this even at the beginning of the season. This is how the team is gonna get the points. This is how they're gonna win games. Ugly. This is how they're gonna get those extra points that you need now in
Right.
November, December, so that it matters come April and May. or March and April. You need these extra points now. So, and you exactly what you said earlier about Sam Ersson giving us that opportunity to get that extra point by going into overtime, by having that being a strength now for the Flyers, where
Mhm.
when they do go into overtime, it's not, oh man, oh gosh, we're going into overtime, or oh man, we're going into a shootout. There's no shot. But Ersson has been the one that's been really pointing the way for the Flyers in that regard, and so that was impressive. And then, of course, the overtime win against the New Jersey Devils. So I mean, of the last four games, three wins and one overtime loss, right? So you still got, you know, 7 points out of a possible eight.
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
but like you said, this is the type of games that the Flyers are going to need to win. They, besides, uh, the obvious two guys and Travis Konechny and Bobby Brink, I would say, and then Owen Tippet. There's not much on the bone after that. Maybe some Sean Couturier, but he's a defensive center. Um, they're going to have to win these close games and be able to hold off the opposition late in the game. Um, we know John Tortorella has this team staying competitive through the full 60 minutes of hockey and even
And then some.
beyond that, right? So,
Right.
but this is the type of games that they're going to have to win because there is no legit star power that's going to go out there and you put them out on the ice and they're going to go get that goal in overtime. All right,
Every single time. Yeah,
it's
we
it's
don't
going to be
have that
hard
yet.
fought games. It's going to be hard fought games to the end of the season here, until some of those other players like Mishkov and Gauthier can come in and gain us a couple more points during 60 minutes of play. So right now the Flyers are you know operating well above average, and I like the way they're playing. It's a fun game to watch. The Devils game and the Red Wings game, all these games that they played recently, uh, they're nail biters. They are in it the whole entire time.
Edge of your
Um,
seat.
Edge of your seat type games, and this is exciting hockey to watch. The NHL wants guys to score 5 and 6 goals, and all this stuff, and have high scoring games to keep people interested. But for me, still, this is interesting hockey. This is what I want to see. Some hard fought games.
Grind it
Some
out.
some some guys grinding it out, scrumming it, giving
Yeah.
the stinky gloves and talking crap and stoppages of play. Um, you know, this is hockey to me, and the Flyers are
Philadelphia
and
hockey.
John Tortorella has them playing Flyers hocky again,
Yes.
and it's
Yes.
refreshing. It's
Yes.
refreshing.
Yes, Lance, I agree with you 110%, man. You hit the hammer on the head once again, my friend. That's exactly what's going on here. And that's exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to be a hard team to play against. Lance, I remember when players would always complain and they would have what we used to call flyeritis. Flyeritis was like the player would look down on the schedule and see that, oh, tonight we're playing against Philadelphia. Oh, coach. Coach, I got a shoulder, I got a knee, I don't think I can make the game tonight. Right? That was flyeritis, where guys didn't want to. I mean, I'm not saying that's really what happened, but you get what I'm trying to say. You knew you were coming into Philadelphia, you were going to be sitting in the ice bath, you were going to be getting some work the next day after you played the Flyers. And that's the case again. They're not doing it dirty. They're not doing it bad. They're doing it clean. They're doing it good. They're blocking shots. They're doing all those things. They're doing it the Tortorella way, which is now becoming the Tortorella / Philadelphia way. Do, You see what I mean? That culture now is becoming what's going on in here in Philadelphia, and that's exactly what was missing for the last however many years. Vino did not have a culture. His culture was that it was okay to lose. You know, his culture was more of, okay, we lost, so let's move on to the. I mean, it's almost like, yeah, okay, we lost, but let's move on. Okay, we lost, let's move on. We lost, but let's. He never looks back. Okay, that's great, but see, you need to learn from what you did in the past so that you can not repeat it in the future.
From your mistakes for sure. And Tortorella and I think Briere and Jones all hold everybody accountable, and
Including themselves, including
including
themselves.
themselves. These guys are learning, as they go, the executive routes, and you know, they're they're allowing Tortorella to have a say in, who's going to play, and I think it's wise. They're not just going out and bringing in guys that they think are are great players, and they're not going to fit the system or whatever like that. Um, Portorello has a say in this at the table, and it shows that it's clearly working. Man, I'm just excited. I'm excited, Steel, because for the first time in years, I'm excited to watch games. It's not a chore. It's not a job. Having to write about them or having to do this show
I
and
know.
having to sit down and watch the game, and then halfway through the game, I'm checking what was on Twitter or whatever, something going on, and not really paying attention to the game. I'm fully watching these games now and enjoying the heck out of them.
Not that we weren't before, but it was more like what you said. It was chore, it was work, it was hard because gosh man, all you did was watch the horribleness. And look, after watching it for so long, it's like, okay, I'm tired of watching the same old. Do you know what I mean? Give me something different. You know, this year the Flyers are doing exactly that. Um, I I do attribute a lot of it to what Tortorella is doing, to what Danny Briere is doing, to what Keith Jones has done, to how this whole entire team has turned itself around from where it's been in the last decade. Do you know what I mean? And you can't, Rome was not built in a day, and you can't fix this in a day. So the fact that they came out and said that, hey, they said the rebuilding word, but the fact that they came out and said, hey, this is our plan, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're striving for, but give us time to do it. And correct me if I'm wrong, Lance, but the fans have been like, all right,
Yeah.
right? The fans have been like, yeah, okay, show me
Well,
what you got.
it's just being honest with them, and I think that's goes a long way for Flyer fans. As I said before, um, we're not stupid. We know the game, and we don't want to be lied to. We're okay with not winning if there's a plan in place to get better. And I think Danny and Keith Jones and all that have done that in a sense to change the locker room, like you said as well, in bringing in the Hathaways, bringing in the Pollings, bringing in the Mark Stalls and Sean Walkers. That at this point, Stahl is not playing most of the games, but he's a presence in that locker room, and he's almost another coach that guys can look to. That you know, heck, this guy was just playing in the Stanley Cup Finals last year, whatever like that. He knows what he's talking about. He has over 1,000 games played in the NHL, and when he says something, these players are listening, and he's teaching them the will to win, and how to go about that the right way, and the right training, and staying, being the first to practice, being the last one to leave, and that whole culture in that locker room that Tortorella came in and said was kind of toxic at that point. The Flyers were used to losing and looking forward to the off season to go play golf or go on vacations. You know, um,
No.
no, that's not what we want, right? But these guys, these additions, even though they're not long-standing ones, the
Yeah.
guys that are going to be here for some time, they're the ones that kind of resetting the cornerstones of this franchise that are going to hold up that foundation that you know what was built that this team and franchise was built on for so many years.
Exactly.
They're playing Flyers hockey. They're doing things the right way. Nose to the grind and winning games, willing themselves to win games that they probably should have no business winning. But here we are,
Here we are.
30
Second.
some games into the season and, right in the thick of things. So
Yeah.
when we probably shouldn't be.
Where
So
most
it's
people didn't
refreshing.
expect, for where most people didn't expect them to be.
Sure.
You know, a lot of the pundits had the Flyers down at the bottom. Okay, and I'm not gonna say that we thought they were gonna be oh well, what are you talking about? Flyers are gonna be Stanley Cup contenders. We just felt that we were kind of trying to leave it open because we felt this team did have some potential to win some games, but they're gonna lose some games, you know, and there's going to be some stretches where it's not going to be pretty, and there's going to be some stretches where hey, it's the best thing in the world to be a Flyers fan because finally the games are exciting to watch, and they're giving you a reason to watch the games now, so one of the things I want to wrap up with here on the show this week, Lance, to wrap up our 150th episode. Holy smackers. Did you ever think we'd get this many?
Not at all. Not at all.
Right? I mean, Lance, I gotta tell you something, man. Being on this ride with you it's been amazing, dude. It really has. It's been something that I look forward to the stuff that I get to do with you. I look forward to um, you know talking to you and hearing what you got to say. I look forward to reading your articles. I mean, you are the editor in chief, and I can't thank you enough for what you do, man. So thank you very much, and just wanted to say I really appreciate what you're doing. So
Yeah, for sure. 150 episodes. Thank you guys for tuning in to us and telling a friend and growing this podcast to what it is today. We appreciate it. A couple of years ago, if you told me I'd be sitting here doing this, um, I wouldn't believe you. But here we are, and we just wholeheartedly appreciate you guys, the fans of this show, and you know the time you spend tuning into us. So happy holidays, and here's to another 150.
I am so with you on that, man, and happy holidays to every one of you else also out there and to your families. Um, this whole thing has been a blessing, and this whole thing has been um, just an amazing experience. And I never thought that I would be able to find a partner that I could, gel with. That I guess I'm. I guess I could be an honorary goalie, even though there's no way I could strap on any kind of equipment. I mean, I could probably take up a good portion of the net if I just kind of, just stood there.
We can get you out there like Goldberg and
Yeah,
strap you
right.
to the
Just
post
strap
and
you to me to the
like
post.
that.
There you go. All right, and duct tape all the holes. Right. So, but um, it's been an honor, Lance. It's been um, uh, I can't even put it into words, man. It's just been really amazing the fact that we get to do the Prospect Watch show with these great talents, and can't wait to see where that's going to lead us and how that's grown. Um, Big, huge thank you to you fans out there for putting up with us for 150 episodes, for subscribing, for liking, for following, for listening to all of our horrible diatribes, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. Right? But the one thing that we can always say about the SteelFlyers All Sports Network and the Hockey Writers Ink show is we're always going to give you the facts. We're always going to give you the truth. We are not quote unquote fanboys. Yes. Do we root for the Philadelphia Flyers? Yes. Do we bleed black and orange? Yes. Do we want to see this team do well? But when they don't, we still have to tell you that they don't. You know? And that's just kind of where it's at. So I love the format. I love how we're just as truthful, but we bring you the reasons why we're truthful. And look at what's happened, Lance. All the things that we talked about over the last 2 or 3 years about what this team needed, what they needed to do, what things that they needed to adjust, the types of people they needed to bring in, the coaching they needed to do, the medical staff they needed to do, the front office that they needed to do. They did all of these things, and now look at what's going on. This team is successful.
It's like we know what we're talking about. I don't know.
Oh, excuse us. Hey, we know what we're talking about. It's like we watched this team for combined over 60 years almost. Holy, that's a lot of time. Sorry about that. So, I just wanted to say thank you for everything. Big thank you to Spreaker for all of your help in getting the show out to all of those podcasting platforms, from Apple to Google to iHeart. All you have to do is type in Hockey Writers Ink, and you'll see the show. And you can also go to Instagram, you go to YouTube. You can also follow us on Twitter at HCKY Writers Ink. That's HCKY Writers Ink. Lance, why don't you tell the folks where we can find you and where we can read your latest articles?
Yeah, obviously on SteelFlyers.com. Go check out that new article. There's lots of stats and facts, everything put in there. And you can always find me on Twitter or X. That is at Lance.Green39.
For sure. And don't forget to check Lance out and the Hockey Writers Ink out on all of your favorite Flyers Facebook groups. We are all intertwined into them, especially Lance and I. You can find SteelFlyers or Lance Green in there. So be sure to check us out because we're all through that as well, too. You can find me on X, or the app that was once called Twitter, is at SteelFlyers52. You can also follow the show there as well at HCKY Writers Inc. Thank you very much for watching the Hockey Writers Inc. We will catch you all on the next episode. Have a happy and safe holiday season.